T-minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Engines full power, and liftoff of CRS-27. Go Falcon, go Dragon.
Falcon 9 soars off the launch pad. Dragon now on its way to the International Space Station with important new science experiments and crew supplies.
Stage 1 chamber pressure is nominal.
Falcon 9 has successfully lifted off from historic launch complex 39A in Florida. We're now coming up on our max Q in about 20 seconds or so, which is the point of maximum aerodynamic pressure the vehicle will go through during its flight.
Sonic. Max Q.
And there's that call out for max Q. Coming up next are 5 events back-to-back. First is main engine cutoff, or MECO, which is when all 9 of the Merlin 1D engines on the first stage will shut down. After those 9 engines shut down, the first and second stages will separate, also called out over the nets as stage separation. Then the first stage will flip around to make its way back to its landing site, the drone ship named a Shortfall of Gravitas. The second stage will then ignite its Merlin vacuum engine to boost Dragon to low Earth orbit during SES-1. And the last event is the boost back burn to reduce velocity of the first stage in preparation for atmospheric entry. And this whole sequence will take place over about 30 seconds or so. Now we should be hearing that call out for main engine cutoff in about 20 seconds from now. Wonderful tracking shot of our rocket.
MECO. Stage separation confirmed. Back ignition.
Stage 1 boost back startup.
While a boost back burn is normally performed in order to return the first stage to one of our landing zones, here we are just performing a partial boost back.
Stage 1 boost back shutdown.
And there's confirmation of boost back shutdown. If you're just tuning in, you're watching a live webcast for the 27th Commercial Resupply Mission to the International Space Station for NASA. This is SpaceX's 17th mission for 2023 and the second Dragon flight to the International Space Station this year. We lifted off from Kennedy Space Center's historic launch complex 39A just about 3 minutes and 45 seconds ago. On the left side of your screen is the Falcon 9 first stage that is making its way back to Earth. And on the right side is the second stage. The second stage, and you can see that MVAC engine there. As a reminder, today's mission marks the 7th flight for this Falcon 9 booster, which previously supported the Amazonas Nexus mission, SES-22, iSpace's Hakuto R Mission 1, and 3 Starlink missions. Now, in order to make its way back to our drone ship, a Shortfall of Gravitas, it has 2 more burns to execute. The first is the entry burn, where 3 of the Merlin engines, engines 1, 5, and 9, will reignite. This helps to slow the stage down as it re-enters the upper part of the Earth's atmosphere. The second burn is the landing burn, and this is a single engine burn, engine 9, that brings the vehicle's speed down rapidly in order to land on the drone ship. Now, occasionally on your screen, when the booster is visible, you may see some nitrogen gas bursts, and these are used for attitude control as the booster makes its way back to the drone ship.
Stage 1 FTS is saved.
Now
Stage
on the
1,
right
entry
side of your
burn
screen, you
startup.
can currently see that. You can currently see stage 2, and there's confirmation of first stage entry burn startup, and probably saw it as well. Again, this is the first of 2 burns that the booster performs before landing on the drone ship.
Stage 1, entry burn shutdown.
If successful, this landing will mark the 178th time that we've recovered a first stage booster. Now, as we get closer to the first stage landing, it's
Stage
good to
1
note that the
transonic.
Falcon 9 first stage is equipped with 4 landing legs made of state-of-the-art carbon fiber with aluminum honeycomb. And we're about 15 seconds or so away from landing.
Stage 1, landing burn.
And there's the start of that first stage landing burn on the left side of your screen.
Stage 1, landing leg deploy.
And there you saw the Falcon 9 first stage successfully
Stage
land,
1
and you
landing
can probably hear
confirmed.
the cheering behind me. The Falcon 9 first stage that supported today's mission landed for the 7th time, having previously supported Amazonas Nexus, SES-22, iSpace's Hakuto R Mission 1, and 3 Starlink missions. And
Stage 2
SpaceX.
FTS is safe.
There's that call out that stage 2 FTS is saved, and we should have second stage engine cutoff here shortly.
Seco.
There's that call out of SECO.
Nominal orbit insertion.
And there's the key call out of nominal orbital insertion. At T plus 9 minutes into the mission, we are coming up on the last major task for stage 2, commanding separation of Dragon a couple minutes from now. We expect to have video of Dragon separation from the top of the second stage, which looks into the trunk. CRS-27 will be joining the Crew 6 vehicle, currently on orbit, so we'll be back to having 2 Dragon spacecraft docked at the International Space Station.
Expected loss of signal. Okay.
As for cargo, today we will be delivering more than 6,000 pounds of science, research, crew supplies, and vehicle hardware to the orbital laboratory and its crew. To date, SpaceX has sent and brought back over 270,000 pounds of crew and cargo to and from the space station. As a reminder, this is the 3rd flight for this Dragon capsule, having previously supported CRS-22 in June of 2021 and CRS-24 in December of 2021. You're watching a live view of Dragon successfully disconnecting from the second stage, heading to the International Space Station. This is the 27th Commercial Resupply Mission to the International Space Station for NASA. This is SpaceX's 17th mission this year and 2nd Dragon flight to station for 2023. We lifted off about 12 minutes and 23 seconds ago from Kennedy Space Center at Historic Launch Complex 39A. And there you can see Dragon slowly drifting away from the second stage. The next milestone coming up is the nose cone opening sequence, which protects the docking ring and navigation sensors. And that's going to do it for me here in Hawthorne, so I'm going to throw it back over to Dan in Houston.
Hey, thank you so much, Zach, and hello everyone once again from Mission Control Houston. Great to see another Dragon on orbit. You've got a happy team here in Mission Control, and we'll have a happy crew of 7 astronauts and cosmonauts on board the space station when they wake up tomorrow with Dragon now on its way. As Zach said, the next milestone that we're going to be keeping an eye out for is going to be the nose cone open. This takes a couple of minutes, and that's to open the nose cone, so it's exactly what it sounds like. It's at the very top, or the nose part of Dragon, and that's going to slowly open up to reveal a couple of different components. That nose cone stays closed during the flight up to orbit, just to protect some of those more sensitive instruments from the thermal and aerodynamic loads that Dragon's experiencing on its ride uphill. Once it opens up, we're going to be revealing a couple of different things, including some propulsion elements, primarily 4 forward bulkhead Draco thrusters. Those are the primary thrusters that Dragon is going to be using for its major delta velocity burn. So those are just firings of the engines to gradually raise its orbit as it gets closer and closer to the space station. It's also going to reveal a suite of navigation equipment. Dragon has a couple of different methods to essentially find its way through outer space, and underneath the nose cone there is something called the Dragon Eye, star trackers, and then it will also be pairing that with an inertial measurement unit and GPS sensors, all of these kind of working in tandem to essentially tell Dragon where it is in outer space and where it needs to head. We also do what's called a state vector upload to the spacecraft just prior to launch, telling it where space station is, and then once it gets closer, we'll have what's called relative GPS systems that will be able to talk to each other between Dragon and space station, just as they start talking to each other, let them know where they are. And those come really in handy when we start getting into the integrated operations, which you're going to be seeing a lot more of this room once we arrive on Thursday morning. As when we're in integrated operations, you've got a team here in Houston and a team out in Hawthorne that are working to bring us Dragon in. But we are getting closer to that nose cone to start opening. There are 12 hooks around essentially the docking ring of the Dragon spacecraft. 6 of those are actually holding the nose cone in place during the launch. All 12 are closed when we're launching, and we open them up. If you've watched any of the previous crew missions or even the cargo missions, we do them in 2 different sets, 2 sets of 6. So one set already open, the second set opening now, and once that second set is open, the nose cone will start to deploy. Again, it takes a couple of minutes for that nose cone to open, usually about 5 minutes or so, and then it'll gradually open. It swings open a little more than about 110 degrees, so that gives Dragon plenty of clearance to dock with the space station, as this is going to reveal also the docking ring, and that's what Dragon's going to be using to actually dock with the International Docking Adapter on board the station. Again, we're heading to the forward port. We have 2 of those on the U.S. segment right now with the docking docking through there. We actually just heard the nose cone is now open. So Dragon already stepping through its automated sequence, getting ready to do the checkouts of those forward bulkhead thrusters. And then once those are ready, we'll...
Thanks again for joining us.